Oh, what's up, Philadelphia sports fans? I am Anthony Pinto.
And I'm Keith Malcheski.
Welcome to the War Room. We are War Room Philly. Keith, first time seeing you here on the airwaves since the Philadelphia 76ers got a James Harden. So it'll be fun to get
Yeah,
your thoughts about that tonight.
I can't
But
wait to talk
first
about
and
that.
foremost, how you doing? How you doing this evening?
I'm pretty good here. Just enjoying myself watching some basketball lately. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to watch the Flyers, and there is no baseball to watch. That's the news on that one. Um, but there is some football stuff starting to kick up, so I'm getting excited because we're starting to gear up for that. So,
Yep.
um, for me, as a sports fan, when I get to see as many sports as possible, it's a good time of year.
March Madness is right around the corner.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's one, and Nova is again relevant. So it's gonna be a
I'm
fun
shocked.
off season or fun off season for the Eagles, stretch run for the Sixers, and so on. But yeah, as far as things go on the Eagles front, it's combine, it's this, it's that. There's a little bit, today breaking news as far not now at this point, but as far as
Yeah.
the show day goes, it's breaking news. And by the way, what's up, Nick? Right? I don't know why I always forget Philly. But I'm like, and I'm always like, I always know it's Nick. I'm just uncertain of it. But what up, Nick? In chat. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I'm right. I'm gonna start being confident in my brain. But yeah, we got just glad I'm just glad Russ isn't an Eagle person. That's actually exactly what I was just going to open up in chat with. But the breaking news in the NFL today was that Russell Wilson is a Denver Bronco, and Russell Wilson is to the NFL what Dame Lillard is to the NBA for me. Um,
Yeah, you do have an unhealthy love obsession with both.
just like, and not like, I don't know that
I
I'd
should
say,
I shouldn't say unhealthy,
I
but
don't know that I'd say, but like, I think that I think that Russell Wilson might not be the best, but is one of the best. I think Dame Lillard. Now that we have James Harden, it's a little bit different, but
well,
I
you
could
got to be a
still
little
take all
biased.
three. But I still think that Dame Lillard is one of the best point guards in the game. I think that Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in the game. I think that James Harden is one of the best point guards in the game. I couldn't let that statement go without saying that at least. But
Yeah,
but yeah, as far as Russell Wilson goes, look, I gotta pull it up because we were talking about this in the four-way chat um, earlier between Kevin and Greg and us. And I thought Greg actually threw a pretty good talking point out, and I'm gonna steal it. But he says, now this is to put it in like, did they pay too much or whatever. But I think that he put it in a pretty good way to equate it to, if Howie Roseman was really trying to go in on this deal, this is what he probably could have and would have offered.
yes.
Jalen Hurts, two first rounds, two second rounds, Dillard and McPherson would be comparable. And that's from, again, Greg Hall, our buddy at We Podcast and We Know Things. Um, to it, I say, yes, that's comparable. And yes, I would have done that. But, that all being said, um, you know, now the Broncos have it, and again, it's a blockbuster move, and unfortunately, after that happens, the name that the Deshaun Watson name kind of resurfaces again, and you know, to anyone wondering why we just haven't brought up enough Deshaun Watson here, I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
It just feels fabricated until I see what his court hearings are.
Pretty much.
And as far as a human being, um, I'm not really willing to root or talk about a serial rapist until I really have to. So
Yeah, you know.
you know what I mean? If that door ever opens and or closes as far as his trial, and you know, hey, if he's somehow as everything's innocent and kumbaya, whatever, but we know how these things are going to go in as far as civil court goes. The Deshaun Watson thing's a dicey situation that I really don't want the Eagles to have any part in, and you know, to each their own as far as the as far as your opinion. Joe, you got the same shirt. I'm sorry. Anybody that has this shirt, I'm sorry. Because if you got this shirt, I'm wearing this as a special treat for Ben tonight. Because now maybe they gave these out at other games, but I got this shirt and Jamie got this shirt Game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks. And yes, I do know that you were there too, Joe. Bad memories indeed. So like I said, maybe other people around the world have this shirt for different reasons. Joe Heston and I and Joe Heston and chat and
I was not aware of that.
That's why I have not worn this shirt, Keith, on air. I've had this shirt for almost a full year now and have not worn it on air because it is stained with Ben Simmons. But I took an extra shirt too
Yep.
Shout out to Jamie.
Said that got me. She got me. I'm not usually one to be thrown by chat, but
that's true. Yeah, she does have to. That explains why it feels like you wear this shirt quite often, Jamie. But we'll talk after the show, I suppose, as she's right. I always do. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, we're gonna be talking Sixers. Just opening up, we wanted to talk Eagles and anything not Sixers. Just get it all out of the way, so then that we know how much time that we have as far as as far as Sixers go. And if I can just open up the curtain and let you guys in, I'm dealing with a massive migraine that feels like it's been around for 3 weeks. So I think your ability to count probably isn't there. I think I bitched at you about this last week that my head was hurting, and it's still there.
I had the plague, basically, not COVID. I did not have COVID. I will say that, but I was dying last week myself of a nasty cold flu type thing myself. Yeah. Which is why you were solo.
I'm wondering if I'm getting my my sinus infection early, but it's been 3 weeks. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't have any other symptoms other than my migraines, which Keith,
it's time to go into the hospital and say, all right, medical coma.
I might, like, it's getting there, but I digress, as I do best. The Flyers have a lead.
Power drill, I've heard
not for long. Hopefully. I don't want to be that guy. But yeah, so again, we got the Russell Wilson news that we can talk about in chat if we want to talk about any more of that. Again, I thought the point that Greg Hall, our old friend at We Podcast and We Know Things, Jalen Hurts, 2 first rounds, 2 seconds, Dillard, McPherson, for Russell Wilson. I would have done that, but you know me. That's always my philosophy. Is I go, there's no price too high. If anything, Keith, Joe, you guys have been here. You know that's I've stayed steady on that. I think if anything, I deserve a little bit of credit to my stubbornness. But as far as quarterbacks go, if you identify, I'm not even saying that this is who's right. If you identify that's my quarterback, and you can get them for a price, you go get them, as long as it doesn't, the Broncos weren't necessarily giving up championship-ready assets. That's when, there's always like a little asterisk. I'm not a Sith. I don't speak in absolutes. But I would have done, that deal that Greg Hall posed to us. I'll say it that way. If I'm the Broncos, I do this deal. I still think that Russell Wilson is a top 5, top 7 quarterback in the NFL, top 10 on a bad day. Obviously, I guess that bad day was last year, and he wasn't top 10, so, you could put a pin in that. But I think that, even the greats, have a down year. And if you go through Russell Wilson's entire career, that's kind of been it. Last year, the last 2 years have kind of been his down year plus. And I think that especially now that he's going to turn the corner, fortunately it's for the Broncos. And I say that not only because it's not the Eagles, but because I have family that loves the Broncos for some reason, even though they're all from Philadelphia. So it makes it a little harder for me to root for the Broncos. But seeing Russell Wilson in that orange might sway me. We'll see.
Well,
obviously Eagles first. I don't want to get attacked by chat. Let me cover my backside real quick. It's always Eagles first, but I watch a lot of sports. I like to have rooting interest, and I don't bet. So when I'm watching sports, I watch it for pure enjoyment, which I know is weird nowadays. But like, as far as so I like to I don't want to call them side teams, but I like to have rooting interests. Oh, I'm rooting for this person. That's why I'm watching this game. Stuff like that. Metcalf available. The name's been floated around. Lockett's been floated around. Metcalf, I think, has 1 year left on his deal. Lockett has, I think, like 3. But yeah, both of those guys could potentially be available. We'll see. If I can, I think here's what I expect from the Eagles as far as wide receiver goes. I expect Juju Smith-Schuster, and I expect to, every time I try to pronounce his name too fast, like I just did, I will butcher it. Even though his name is very easy to say, but I'll go Juju, like I just did. But I think I feel like a Juju signing. I think that they might let guys like Reagor, Quez, and the likes kind of fight out that other outside spot, and then you have Juju as the your slot wide receiver. I think that he's probably going to be able to get him on a 1 year deal. I think he's like 25. So as far as the Eagles, it's just call him TikTok. I don't actually get that at all, but I'm sure chat will explain it to me. But yeah, I think I see him coming here being just a good value deal, and then you can see what you get out of him. But not saying that's what I want. That's what I predict as far as the Eagles. All he does is make TikToks. Okay. That actually just reminded me that I had some workers at my store ask me if they could make a TikTok for the store, and I never took it to the proper venues, but I digress. This is how my brain works. I think about work while I'm doing my show. I hate myself. But yeah, as far as the Eagles, yeah, that's what I expect. I don't know. I would love DK. That would be like the retribution, since you couldn't get Russ and you also didn't get DK the first time, you go and get him now. I don't know. I think the Eagles have wants and needs in other positions, and I don't know that how much assets they're going to use right off the bat on wide receiver. As much as I would love it, because wide receiver is the sexy position. I'm still a fan. I would love it. Cooper gonna cost too much? Oh yeah, that's right. That was there's talks that Dallas might cut Cooper, right? So maybe. I'm not ruling it out. Devontae, like a lot of your top tier wide receivers got either signed or tagged today. But there's still. I don't think the Eagles need. I want them to get. I don't know that they need a top tier wide receiver, because I think they have one of those in the making in Devontae Smith. I would love them to have that number 2 alongside with him, but I don't think they're gonna go top tier with that. I think they're gonna go and let the Quez and the scrubs battle out for that second outside spot, and then I think your slot receiver might get the upgrade this year. As far as outside goes, or as far as like free agency goes, and then look, you still might draft too. But again, I don't think first round. I wouldn't see first or second round for the draft. But if you can, if you find someone in the draft that you like, you got to build this team for the future as well. So, that's how I see it as far as the wide receiver things go. Keith, you got anything on the Eagles? Any positions you're looking at? What happened?
Just want to make sure you were on a tear there. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap now.
No, I listen. I'm glad. I'm gonna put this on the record, dude. I'm glad they didn't trade for Russell because I think that they have too much to make up for on this team. I think the Broncos are more complete, so I think that was a better situation for them to. I love Russell Wilson. I agree with you and everything you said.
I considered wearing a Russell Wilson jersey tonight.
I know you did.
Sorry, I cut you off.
It's okay. It's all right. No, they need too much. I'm sorry, they do. They don't have as much to offer as the Broncos. I think the Broncos have a complete defense, even with giving up a defensive tackle and a tight end essentially with draft capital, which I think is fantastic. So I think they're fine. As far as our team goes, though, focusing specifically on what we have some. Possibilities here. We have for 3 first-round picks. You know what I mean? Like, you can trade up and get that player that you identify as the must-have franchise player, or you can end up seeing really another wide receiver added to the fold in the first round for all you know, if they really want to go homegrown with their guys. So I'm looking at that and going, okay, cool. We have some paths. If we're going to look at a free agent, like you, I heard Smith-Schuster being dropped out there. Obviously, Godwin was tagged. Mike Williams was signed. Devontae Adams was tagged. So you end up having a lot of, already people that you wanted just gone. They're not even going to be there, which is why I'm actually looking at not an Amari Cooper. Yeah, he's 27, but he's going to cost a lot. I'm looking at more of a good, solid player is what I'm looking for. A guy like Justin Gage, who has been a solid number 2 type receiver, can work out of the slot, is going to be sure-handed for you. Like, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. I know that doesn't sparkle and splash, but that's not necessarily what you need.
That's to your point. That's that's more the move I expect to them to make. Like, that's like, and we just came with a different name,
Yes.
But that's more and to the Eagles' credit, if you will, I think that's the move they need to make. I think sometimes they're prone to wanting to make the sexy move, and right now they just need to make the right one when it comes to the wide receiving core.
I agree. I think any potential hole that you fill on this roster, you have to do the non-sexy but solid pick this year, possibly a shorter-term type deal, somebody who wants to prove themselves a little bit. And then next year, you build upon that success because it was a hollow playoff game. Like, let's be real. You got blown out by Tampa Bay. Yes, it's Tom Brady. I get that. But that's also just a really good team. You are not up to snuff in the NFC is what I'm seeing here. So at that point, I want to just build, get a nice big step this year, and then you have your championship shot the year after that. That's what I'm looking at. Assuming, of course, that Jalen Hurts is the guy. Because if he's not, I don't know about 2 years for a championship.
Yeah, and just to kind of bounce off that point and, sort of tie a bow in the Eagles talk. But, I just, that was my big talking point all of last year. Do we have the head coach? Do we have the quarterback? And, man, we got to the playoffs, and you would think that you'd feel better about both of them. And you're like, I guess I feel good to a point about Sirianni, and I
at least he dresses the right way.
Still don't know about Jalen Hurts. Like, all of the questions I had about Jalen Hurts last year, I still have going into this year. And that's a big problem.
Good throughout the year, after a certain point, you just saw him start to ascend. But that last playoff game, both him and Sirianni, like all those ugly warts that you were complaining about at the beginning of the season, came out again. So I do have my doubts. I have more faith in Sirianni out of this situation than I do Hurts. Not that that's a knock on Hurts necessarily, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can continue to be coached up because he needs to get up there recognition wise, and we're going to see that. We got 3 first-round picks to rock and roll with, granted, we did lose 2 people in our front office, both directors of player personnel. By the way, there were 2 of them. I forgot to mention that earlier when we were talking, Anthony. Both of them, yes, we had 2 director of player personnel, same exact title. Ian Cunningham went to the Bears, and Brandon Brown, this one hurts a little bit more, went to the Giants. So that is 2 big portions of your scouting department. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers actually interviewed he is actually the it just dropped out of my head, but it's Andy Weidel is the name, but he is actually looking at a job at the Steelers GM, and he's actually from Pittsburgh, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I mean, you got people in your front office that are gone. That always creates a question for a draft, and I know people like to knock Cowboys drafting, but we're seeing some results the past 2 drafts that are looking promising. So, oh God, I hope we didn't lose some of the people we needed to keep him in check.
Yeah,
that's where I'm.
I pay no mind to assistants and things like that. At the end of the day, he's the one making he's going to be the one, he picks the assistants, right? So I don't put a lot of stock into that. I know that Jeffrey Lurie loves to talk about how many assistants get poached from his staff, and that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, just having a couple, and by really a couple, I mean like 1 good draft pick in the last 2 years, doesn't really make up for a slew of bad ones. But hey, Devontae Smith was nice, and hey, he did try to mess that up as much as he did, but came out looking pretty good. Yeah, just to kind of put a bow on the Eagles talk, the big thing with Jalen Hurts, and you can even say Nick Sirianni, this year in particular was, can they win a game where they have to rely on the quarterback? And this year, every game that the answer was yes to that, they lost. Like every game that they had to rely on Jalen Hurts, the Eagles lost, and especially in the playoffs. That is a huge glaring red flag. And that is something that, to me, it's more on Jalen Hurts, but, Nick Sirianni's going to have to figure out ways to, I guess, utilize Jalen more effectively in the passing game. To Sirianni's credit, I think he did a lot of juggling to fix the focus of this offense and really give them an identity. But again, at the end of the day, that there's still a huge glaring issue, and for all the people that are rooting for Jalen, look, it's all well and good. I'm rooting for him too, but the fact of the matter is that arm is a big question mark. So hopefully the fact that maybe he can learn, maybe he learns on his decision making and he can excel in that ways and work around it. But I still think that that's going to be a big roadblock for the Eagles. So we'll see. Keith, anything else on the Eagles, or
no? I think that pretty much wraps it up. And
any NFL or anything other than the Sixers at all that you want to talk about real quick?
Because I have not seen the Batman, so I got nothing for you.
No, well, yeah, neither have I. So we could talk about that post show too. But I digress. But yeah. As far as then let's just slowly move in and back out. But here it is. It's the first time we're on air that I've got to ask you this question. But Keith, James Harden is a Philadelphia 76er. How does that make you feel?
I am ecstatic. But not just because of James Harden, but because we got Harden and kept Maxey. I know we talked about that quite a bit, and you were very pro Harden, and you say you might even consider giving away Maxey. I'm not saying that was
I'm actually
because
super glad we can finally have this conversation because I feel like I need to
yeah, I know you
defend
weren't
myself
anti-Maxey. I
via
know you weren't
Maxi.
anti. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I know that, and everybody else should know that you weren't anti-Maxey. It's not that was the case. You were just very pro Harden.
yes.
So we got that. We at least I think we all understand. But I'm glad that we have him. I was very very firm on that stance, but we needed to add something. You were right. And with Hart on the court, 5-0
Yeah.
since the trade. I mean, that's you can see the impact that he has on this team, and that's the craziest part of it. Not just him, but the way he has energized Maxey even more than he already was. He's a very good influence in that sense. I forget which game it was, but he had bad first half. He's like, "Hey, you gonna come to play today?"
I think it was
Second half, he takes off.
So they played 2 against the Knicks recently. It was the first of the 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he ended up with like 26 that game. The one that you're referencing, I think he had like 22 in the second half.
Something insane.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like you said, the role that Thibault is seemingly finding in this offense now because of Harden.
I'm so glad they're using him to start. I was so scared. Not that I think that Danny Green's he is bad, but I mean, he fits in a pick and pop type thing. Like, he does have a quick trigger, and Thibault, I'm so glad they gave it a chance.
Here's what I'll say, and I think I remember it was Rich Sunday who had the comment on Facebook, and it's rare that I remember like the actual name, but I know Rich outside. He's friends through Greg Hall. I used to be in a fantasy football league with Rich. He said, "What about Danny Green? As one of the," and this was like fresh after the thing, and I'm like, "Hey, look." And it probably came off sarcastic through the comments, but I meant it wholeheartedly. Like, let's see Danny Green play a stretch where he's 1, healthy, and 2, actually contributing offensively. If Danny Green gets hot, I see games, especially in the regular season, where he's in the starting lineup. But he hasn't got hot yet. No. So, with that, the way I look at it is like, if I'm a coach, it's what can I depend on? And if you're looking at all the guys, it's, it was, we were talking at the time. Now it's like he's a total afterthought. But Furkan Korkmaz, I mean, now if you wanted to talk about Shake Milton, but again, it's really down to Danny Green if you can get him out on the court, or Matisse Thybulle. And yeah, like you said, Thybulle in that starting 5. I mean, you can tell us why it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, you look at the way I look at it is almost like when you're playing with Golden State, how they had Iguodala as that defensive player they would add in there in that rotation who could just lock down somebody. And that's what you have with Thybulle. Because not that, Maxey or Harris, who has become a complete afterthought in the offense, and I love it. Or Harden or anybody like it, they're not terrible on defense. Obviously, we know Embiid's just an absolute monster on any part of the court that he's on. But you have somebody that is basically what Ben's best attribute was, which was that defense. Like, Tease has that all-star style defense, and I think that's fantastic. You can count on that no matter what, and if he finds a rhythm offensively, which it seems like he has to a degree, you have a very good player that now you can start in year 3. Harris being that 4 spot and being able just to kind of just take shots. I don't care if he makes shots. I just want him to take shots, space that floor. That's it. Keep making it. Like, this team has become so well balanced by the addition of James Harden, and that to me, I mean, is mind-blowingly amazing, because I don't want to get ahead of myself. But there's no way this team doesn't make a deep run if both Embiid and Harden stay healthy. Because that's the problem. Harden's had some health issues. Embiid, you never know when they're going to crop up. They just need to stay healthy. And we can see a very deep run, because this team is that good. With Maxey now the 3rd best player on this team, And I'm just so stoked about that. That's the jersey I might get. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Why not? Yeah, I think
I like
that
the 0.
I think that again, like Maxi's role on this team has been it's been excellent, and to be honest with you, it's so much better to have him in the starting five than Curry, which was my talking point prior to the trade when I was saying, look, I would throw Maxi into the deal if I had to, because of a starting five that we were talking about at that time that we don't have to bring back up because it's all old news. But again, it's all about what you start with the starting five, and this starting five is fantastic. And the way that Harden and Maxi, and I said this before they ever got on the court together, I said the way that these two are going to work off of each other is fantastic because they both can do sort of the same thing, which is a little bit of everything. Now, I'm not trying to put Tyrese Maxey in the same boat as James Harden, but with the way that Maxey's outside game has developed this year, he can now do a little bit of everything. He doesn't just have to drive to the net. He's learned how to... It's funny, I've said this thing about Ben Simmons for years where I said he needs to do one thing where he can have 3 spots on the court where he can pull up and shoot from. Maxey already seems to have figured that out after one off season, where he's got that spot from the 3. He's got that spot from outside the lane, or right outside of the foul line, and he's got just anywhere around the rim where he can just pull up and shoot, and that's been his MO, where and Harden's hitting them, and then vice versa. When Maxey's got the ball in his hands, he's got speed where he can create anything, and then you got guys like Harden and Embiid ready for the ball. So the fact that these two are in there, and then not only that, on the defensive side of the ball, Maxey is a far superior defender than Seth Curry, and so is Harden. So at either position, you've upgraded defensively, you've upgraded offensively. So it's just been fun. If I have one more thing that I could ask for, it's if this team could find a spot-up outside shooter to add to the bench. Yeah. I realize that the buyout market is probably bleak to empty at this point, but they did get DeAndre Jordan, which was, I think it'll be it'll be a nice addition. I did see... let me get the name. I even told him I was going to talk about it. I saw a comment on one of our Facebook posts, and it was about B-Ball Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Clint Williamson says, why won't Doc give B-Ball Paul a fair shot? I really don't understand it.
He just doesn't play rookies. Like, that's Doc.
So, that's one part, yes. And I will say this: you're right, and he's right, and like it's this organization in general feels like it's harder for them to get the younger guy off the bench. I've been saying since last year that Isaiah Joe deserves playing time over Furkan Korkmaz. I still say Isaiah Joe deserves playing time over Furkan Korkmaz. But again,
I would love more of that.
That's the young guy being... Now, as far as B-Ball Paul goes, first off, I hate the nickname because I think fans hear that and think he's better than he is. He's a G League MVP. There's a huge difference. This is the thing. I think that when he gets into the game, he tries to be an MVP. And the problem with the G League is that players will go down to the G League, be stars in the G League, and then think that they can be a star in the NBA. But what it is you need to be a star in the G League and then figure out how to become a role player in the NBA. Paul Reed has made many boneheaded mistakes in the offensive zone in limited times, and I gotta imagine that gets on Doc Rivers' nerves. So I will say that. Now, I still agree that he hasn't necessarily got since this trade has happened, he hasn't started a game. He was never given that true backup role. Even Millsap came right in and got more backup minutes than Reed. So I'm not saying he's wrong or who's wrong or who's right in this situation. But to me it was worth bringing up for conversation, and I also liked that I could tie in my Isaiah Joe over Furkan Korkmaz.
It brought something up that I had heard, and I'm glad that you said that, because that G League comment made me think of somebody else who actually had been making rounds on the interwebs, if you would. One Nick Stauskas has been absolutely on fire, posting up I think it was like a 57-point game or something like that in the G League. Looks like he's actually added some muscle and stuff like that. How would you feel like that for an experiment for an outside shooter?
Anything from the outside, like right now, anything.
I mean, that's what he was supposed to be, was a good spot up outside shooter, and maybe he is now. Maybe he's an acceptable backup outside shooter.
JJ Redick is still number one on my list, so anyone that can give you anything above that is fine.
Hey, he liked your tweet.
Hey, and
Anything's possible.
I went up over 200 followers on Twitter. I had to re-log into my Twitter 3 times over the course of a week because I got logged out for suspicious activity because Twitter was confused that people were actually following me. So, yeah. Shout out to JJ and Joel for that. But yeah, that's one of the better ones. That's
JJ and Joel.
He
must be important. Follow.
Dude, that'll probably be my my best tweet of my life. I don't know that I'll ever have any better recognition than that, because I mean, look, Joel Embiid, he's my mouse pad. I mean, I'm a big fan of the guy.
Best I got is Mike Birbiglia liking a tweet about him.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. It's nice.
Yeah, love. I was trying to shorten his name, and it was getting. I was gonna say love the Birbigs.
I go with Birbig sometimes. I don't know if he does, but I do.
but yeah. So
no, yeah, it's interesting to see where we can go with this. See if anything can happen, but I do agree with Joe. If they lose in the second round, there is a good chance that Doc could get fired. There's that.
Yeah, I don't want to keep. I keep seeing people like they gotta go out of their way to say this. Like, why do we have to already project negative things? Like, positive thoughts brings positive actions, people.
I was gonna say, but listen, I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about this team developing the chemistry that they're getting right now. So I don't even want to talk about the potential of what happens in the offseason. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to. Can I just enjoy the ride? Am I allowed to enjoy the ride? Is that something that's
this season has sucked so much? Keith, enjoy the next 19 games.
Like, see,
live a little, just a little,
that's it.
Just a little, only a little.
When we get to the playoffs, then I can determine what I want to feel.
Yeah, we still have a lot.
I just want to.
This is why I say only a little, because look, there's still a lot to figure out with this team, and we're going to be sitting here and dissecting game by game by game. All of those things. By the way, 38 minutes into the show, we haven't even talked about the fact that the first time we're going to see that douchebag Ben Simmons on the court is going to be with a different team. We had to come from Brooklyn to get his ass out on the court. Oh, and by the way, he's still sitting. Oh, by the way, I'm in no rush to see Ben Simmons on the court. I think it's beautiful. By all means, steal money from Brooklyn. I hope you never play a game for them. That's their problem now. By all means, destroy one of our rivals while we just sit here and hopefully continue to flourish. But yeah, I digress. I felt like I mentioned Ben Simmons' name once just to say about this shirt, because it was him. To be honest with you, I still say Tobias Harris was the number one reason why they lost that game. But we don't need to bring that up. Now Tobias is still on the team, so I gotta, I guess, like him for a few more weeks.
Off season.
But again, I don't want to talk about that. See, that's like these are the things I know and I think about, but I don't bring up because I'll wait until Tobias chokes to then rip them apart. But we don't. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's hope we go. Hey, hi. He didn't have a good regular season, but when we're talking about it in the history books, wow, Tobias Harris really lit it up from 3 in that playoff run. You know, that's all he's got to do to make a spot in Philadelphia history.
all.
Like, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Like, if we get even a smidge of that wannabe all-star Tobias from last year, this team might actually win a championship.
That's all you need.
If Tobias,
solid contribution, not even that.
With the way Tyrese Maxey's playing, with Joel Embiid and James Harden, if Tobias Harris can even play almost like an all-star, which we know he's very capable of doing, hell, we know he gets paid to play that way, this team might win a championship. That's like, I don't want to put it on one player or another, because obviously, like, this team still rides with Joel Embiid. But if with all of those things happening, which we kind of feel like is happening, and then you get a little bit of Tobias on top, that's the thing about Harris, is kind of in almost like, he's almost in a win-win situation, because at this point the expectations have dropped so low that we can't get mad at him. But it's like, man, if he does anything, especially during a playoff run, he's gonna be immortalized.
Look, if he plays solid defense and spreads the floor.
No, I need points out of Tobias for me to actually get happy. Tobias Harris was paid.
I said I would be happy.
To score.
I'd be like,
I need 20
satisfied
out of Tobias.
See, if he does that, then yes, you automatically have a championship. But if you're getting the Matisse that we've been seeing and the Maxey we've been seeing, you just need Tobias to not be a liability. That's really all it comes down to. I know that's sad, but ideally he would absolutely tear it up, yes.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That's all.
That's it.
I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just, I'm
I'd be happy with 15.
Yeah,
15.
Yeah, we're starting to talk about Tobias Harris's offensive numbers as if it's Ben Simmons.
Yeah, well, that's a more acceptable than the number 1 overall pick. But that, listen, he's out of here. He's not my problem. He's not my problem anymore. And I'm so thrilled that we are in this position, because, we are looking very good as far as standings. We're obviously in the 2 seed, Miami, who we lost to, since we didn't have Harden. They're sitting in the 1 seed, but like I said, I'm just going to enjoy. I'm not too terribly worried about anything until we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and this is from Joe in chat. It says, I didn't think Harris would be the one who got worse with Harden. Here's what I'll say. Maybe the thing that really worked well for Tobias Harris with the Clippers was the pick and roll. And I feel like the pick and roll right now has been more in between Embiid and Harden, and rightfully so. But if they really want to start working Tobias into it, maybe that's what they have to do, is get him involved in the pick and roll. And maybe they find a different partner to do it with, or maybe him and Thibault, or that. I don't really know there. But as far as getting Harris going, we haven't seen the Sixers under 2 coaches do a lot of this, but that's what he excelled in. And it's, Doc Rivers was the one that was doing it for Tobias with the Clippers. So it's a little bizarre that we don't see it like at all here in Philadelphia. But to me,
we need Boban. We need Boban back.
To me, that's, if you want to truly get Tobias Harris rolling offensively, you get him involved in the pick and roll.
Pretty good. I liked it. That was good.
And just working it that way.
You bring back Boban, absolutely. Yeah,
Boban.
Come on, a little Toby and Bobby action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for the memes. He was in a Super Bowl commercial. Bobby.
Yes, they were. I do enjoy that. But no, it's just, like I said, it'll just be fun. It'll be a ride. We'll be going there and enjoy a team in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Sixers are like must-watch TV right now. And again, this is probably because throughout most of the season, it felt like it felt like the Sixers were a chore that you got rewarded heavily for doing. Like, you'd be like, I gotta do this, and then you'd sit down and do it, and be like, oh, Joel Embiid's really good at basketball. This was kind of
This
fun.
was
You know,
just
it's
yeah,
like,
this
oh,
was
my
good.
allowance is really nice because Joel Embiid is good at basketball. But it felt like a chore because there was this burden hanging over the team that was a dead roster spot in Ben Simmons. And it was, how were you going to, what were you going to replace for him? And my God, the dreck of names that were being thrown out. D'Angelo Russell and like some of the people that like were, you got James Harden. Like some of the names that people were, and you got James Harden. And
Good job, Daryl.
you
Good job.
have it's not Batman and Robin because it's like it's Batman and Superman. Like you have two just ones who can
Yep.
be dominant and from two separate spots of the floor too. Actually, I was real quick aside. I was watching. I want to see if anyone agrees with this. But I was watching the Bulls the other night, and I'm seeing DeRozan play, and I'm like, I wonder if he would be an interesting mid layer to this team. Like if you had Embiid as like your inner, DeRozan who loves the mid-range game, and then Harden
Yep.
who is like he creates from the perimeter, even though he can score just any part of the floor.
Anyway,
I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder if DeRozan is in. But again, I'm not bringing those thoughts out yet because I don't want to project any off season because right now I want to think about winning a championship with this team. But
It'll be curious to see a lot of what happens in the coming months. So
yeah. Again, it's if you can find. I don't expect it, but much like how people are like DK Metcalf, I'm like I just want one more shooter for this team. I don't think it's coming though, so now it's going to be getting these guys flowing, and I guess then it becomes: is it who's that last piece on the bench? Is it Shake? Is it Furkan? Is it Isaiah Joe? But you're gonna have to find another offensive piece off this bench other than George Niang.
yeah, I
Um,
mean you're gonna see it's gonna be Furk or it's gonna be Shake more than likely that's gonna get that featured role. It's just whoever plays better down the stretch, which kind of sucks.
Now
That's my
Clint's
positive side.
to Clint's point, I want to see Isaiah Joe get a fair shot. Like I can't say that like Paul Reed got his shot, and then if Isaiah Joe really truly never gets a shot, then I got to be like then I got to really rethink and be like maybe Paul Reed never got his shot, and Clint's probably right.
Yeah,
But
maybe he didn't, maybe he won't. Who knows? But
I just for me personally, when in very limited runs, but you can go back to last year when he had he started for a COVID riddled team. Isaiah Joe put up I
mhm.
think like what 31, 36 or something. Like he's produced in very limited and small spurts. Now it's we've seen time and time again in so many different teams guys come up on the scene, like even Shake Milton had that huge game against the Clippers, 3 years ago. Um, but it's can they do it in runs in a you know in a prolonged run in a stretch, and I want to see guy I want to see if Isaiah Joe can do it because he shot the lights out for Arkansas, and I want to see if he can do it in the NBA. But I just my little because right now it comes down to that last bench piece and just in general that's the glaring weakness for the Sixers right now is that bench.
Doc's got some work to do, and
Yep.
it's going to be interesting to see how he gets the team to gel and gets to figure out that final adjustment that he needs to do down the stretch before hitting that wonderful playoff run that we're going to have.
So with that, I'm gonna kind of just do some final thoughts. And we're not like we could do final thoughts as well, but I just want to we did all that. Like, what do you expect Thursday night? How bad do you expect the booze to be for Ben Simmons?
It's going to be an all-time bad boo, except I wish bringing this back from the beginning of the show because I saw this and I thought it was perfect. Joe, he actually said it. I I agree with him. I wish if it was just no reaction, absolutely no noise. I think that would drive him nuts even more than a boo. I think the boo, to a certain extent, there are people who will wear it as a badge. And I'm not saying he'll embrace the villain or anything like that. I think he should be like, yeah, whatever, it's a boo. Like, you just go dead silent. Like, that's the ultimate statement. Like, you're not even worth our reaction.
Nah, I boo him. I boo him pretty good. And, you know, I maybe even do a bleep you, Ben chant. You know? But yeah, I heard that Duracell is sponsoring the event. No. I'm not condoning throwing batteries at Ben Simmons. I would never. No, in all serious, for real. Like, don't do that shit. Don't do that shit if you're going to the game. First off, you spent $200+ for that ticket. Don't be an ass. Go there, boo him. I keep wanting to be like boo him every time he touches the ball, but he won't because he's gonna sit.
I was very close when it first happened. When that trade first happened, tickets were like $150 to start. I was like, these are only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
I knew that I just kind of assumed he wouldn't play.
Yeah, well, that's exactly also. Like,
so it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna, all right. I'm not gonna go to watch a cheerleader. Like, that's all Ben Simmons is. He's gonna be.
That's it.
He's gonna be rooting for his team that's gonna be losing as James Harden puts up probably like 50 that game.
Oh, I would love it.
He's gonna be so motivated to play against that team. So I'm looking forward to it, and we already know. As far as Embiid goes, when Embiid gets matched up against Drummond, he's just gonna eat. So,
I can't wait.
I know a lot of. I've been wrong before, but a lot of people are talking about how good the Brooklyn Nets can be, and I just don't think that's this year. Next year,
Nets are like a great in theory.
Next
like
year,
everybody's healthy.
Yeah, next year they get back on the same page, maybe. This year, Ben Simmons is going to play maybe 10 games. You got about 19.
Maybe.
They have, I'm not looking at theirs, I think the Sixers have like 19 games left, 20 games left. So roughly Brooklyn has like 22 to 17 games left. And at what point does he get in the lineup? If he's not playing already, he's using a back issue now. Like, what were you doing that you weren't keeping yourself in the most optimal like shape? What were you like? I'm so glad that this dude is not only not our problem anymore, but we have James Harden, who is our problem, and it's a good one to deal with.
Good problem.
But yeah, any other final Sixers thoughts or anything tonight, Keith?
I think I'm pretty good. I'm just ready to get to the next game and enjoy. That's it. That's where I'm at. I'm in a good spot, as you can tell. I'm very relaxed when it comes to the Sixers. I got very heated about a few things in life, and this is not one of them currently.
Like I said, with right now, as far as the sports landscape goes in Philadelphia, it's just the Sixers. Now, if you're following Eagles offseason stuff, we are too. We talked, pretty good chunk. Actually, I got to be honest, we talked more Eagles than I thought we would at the start of the show. More. I looked at the mark, and I think we may even got like 20 to a half hour on just
we got
Eagles.
Close to 30.
So I was pretty shocked by that. And we actually had pretty split, even 30-30 here tonight.
Which, by the way, the Nets are only 2 games out of 11. They're in the 9th spot.
Yeah, like
they're only 2 games.
Look,
I just wanted to throw that out there.
No one wants to play the Nets in a playoff series, right? And that's not because of Ben Simmons. That's because Kevin Durant is, one of, if not the best basketball player on earth. So yeah, you don't want to play that guy, right? And Kyrie Irving can get good in stretches too, and especially if he's actually allowed to play in every game. So yeah, but here's the thing. The vaccine mandate hasn't changed yet. Like, again, like 20 games left in the regular season. I just see that team kind of being a mess for the rest of the year. Now, next year is next year. But I'm worried about this year, as we've said a few times on this show. I'm trying to not look to the offseason. I'm trying to look to the now.
I'm not worried about it.
And I'm trying to look to May and June. And I just, that's the basketball I'm focused on.
As we should be.
So
positivity.
He was playing Xbox. Yeah, Call of Duty. Ben loves that COD. So, yeah, I just... I'm excited for, Thursday, but not because of Ben Simmons, but because it's...
The Nets do not have an easy schedule. I'm looking at their schedule. They don't have an easy schedule the rest of the year.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the Sixers, but again, it's like, I don't really have to worry about the Sixers. I know that they got a back-to-back, at least one back-to-back with the Raptors and Heat. So that's, I forget what the Raptors' record are, but I would imagine maybe that's a load management.
The Raptors are the only people in the playoffs that really scare me. I know that sounds weird, but they just match up with the Sixers in a weird way that I just don't feel comfortable about. So that's, we'll get into that closer to the playoffs. But I don't.
Are they even in the playoff race?
They're the 7th seed right now.
Yeah, I
would delete. It's just been nuts. They just have some weird, rangy outside shooters that I just don't like to go against, and they play very good defense. I don't know. I'm just a little worried about them.
That's two people now who have put Harden down for 50 as Joe doubles down on my Harden dropping 50 against the Nets. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Joe. He's gonna be motivated, and that's I was actually gonna get to I was slowly moving into that point too, but that's I'm more excited for James Harden on Thursday. I think this is going to be more of a treat for him.
That's a brutal back-to-back too. I'm looking at that. That's Raptors then Heat.
Yeah.
The Raptors is load management if you have the Heat the next day because you got to try.
Yeah, because they did load management against the Heat. Was it 2 nights ago? Or last night, I mean, as far as...
And that's the last time you play the Heat in the regular season. So
yeah, you want to, again, so I think you'll probably do, if you're going to load management, it would be against the Raptors. And again, you got Dallas, that Friday, too.
Your last 8 games, you play the Pistons twice and the Pacers twice.
Yeah.
So that's some encouragement.
Yeah, there's your load management right there. True. But yeah. Anything else tonight, Keith?
No, I don't really think I have much on the docket. I might go watch an episode of Titans. I finally started watching that.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I just haven't heard enough good things to want to watch that show.
Second season.
I like Red Hood too much to see him be bastardized and a teen kind of thing.
I haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah, I know that's season 3. I think I heard.
Yeah,
and I'm
3, yeah. I mean, he's in the picture for the show, so he's coming.
Yeah.
But no, the season 2, you get Deathstroke introduced, so that's cool.
Yeah.
This is where it's starting to actually be pretty cool. So it's just way too slow. That was the problem. The first season, half of it, I'm like, am I really watching this? I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the season. And then it was all right, cool. And now it's now it's decent.
I haven't done. Actually, you know what? The new TV I've sort of been diving into was the Cuphead show on Netflix.
My one brother has been watching that.
Kevin.
Actually, both of them, I should say.
Yeah.
Kyle and Kevin.
Okay,
they're both in on it.
I could see Kevin being in.
Kyle plays Cuphead.
Yeah. I tried to play Cuphead.
Well, everybody tries.
It's my favorite game that I'll never beat. And I've never been more obsessed with just lore and wanting to support. I'll buy the DLC and I'll probably never play it because it's just I suck at platformers and it is such a hard, but in a good way. It's you're oh, I got it. I suck.
But I've yet to play Cuphead, and I know the minute I do, I will.
Dude,
cry.
It's a platformer that tilts me in the same way that Counter-Strike does.
Which actually, speaking of TV, and I still will go, and I know I've mentioned this just about every time I've been on in the past 2 months. You have to see Peacemaker. You do.
I'm gonna get. I want to watch it. I'm 100% like I'm in. I'm gonna watch it. Yeah. I want to. I have to force myself to watch a Suicide Squad movie.
They talk. It's actually, that Suicide Squad movie is worth watching. It's worth watching. I'm not saying it's fantastic, but it's worth watching. But our friends over at We Podcast and We Know Things did their spoiler podcast on it. I listened to the whole thing, and I really agreed with a lot of what they threw out there in the spoiler cast. I can't really get into it because obviously it's spoilers.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that episode.
But it was a weekly release, and I really liked the fact that I had to wait for some of the episodes to get going, because it added to it. It made it more of an attraction to me, as opposed to the Purge, the binge, I should say, that you get from Netflix. So like, it is such a good show, and I can't wait for you to watch it, because then I get to talk to you about it. So that would be awesome.
I just gotta figure out a way to motivate myself to watch the movie, because I'm just still a little scorned by that whole scene. But I've heard good things. I've heard encouraging things. And then the fact that
I have to come over and force you to watch it.
The fact that this show has also been reinforcing said good things as like a back end to the movie gives me some hope that DC can do things correct. And yeah, I do very much plan to see the Batman.
DC TV was always pretty strong, so that's another,
DC animated TV.
Okay, well, listen, the CW stuff was pretty good.
Oh, I 100% disagree. You're living in 2009.
Well, I'm not saying it still is pretty good. Anything that goes on for that many years, it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, but it started off pretty hot, and that's why
The Flash had one good season, if that's what you mean.
I think I had like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I got up to like 4, and I was like,
I can tell you the exact moment. I literally I stopped the exact moment they started doing a Glee thing or whatever. I turned it off. If you go to my Netflix account right now, if I turn on The Flash, it'll probably, unless I ever went back and watched some of the older episodes, I would turn it on and he'll be snapping his fingers or some stupid shit. And
you stopped at the musical episode.
I stopped right at as soon as a note, I heard a piano, and I was like, I'm out. I am out. OWT, as Fred Flintstone would say.
Yeah, well, you know me. I'm a theater nerd and a musical theater lover, so it was good for me.
No, I was out.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But just speaking of out.
Yeah, I think on that note we've hit an hour. Not that we are mandatory on it. Chat. This has been a fun one. We got everything in tonight. So I got it all out, and chat. How you got it? Yeah, chat said they're good. So with that, next week we will be here, same time, same place.
Yes.
It's rare that we get to announce it so far in advance, but Kevin Christian is just straight up champing at the bit to get here. And
possibly chomping at it too.
Nah, weren't you in? I think you were in the film lab when we had that discussion, because like someone said champing, and for whatever reason, some discussions from the film lab of Bucks have just stuck with me, and that was one of them. Just chomping at the bit, ready to go. And so he was like, "Can we do Tuesday next week?" I'm like, "Boom, boom, let's do it." So we're scheduled. We will be right back here next week, Tuesday, 8:00, twitch.tv/warroomphilly. Hope to see you guys back next week. Keith, any other finals tonight? You got anything else?
Go Sixers.
Okay. I love it. Well, with that, we will be watching the Sixers. What's today? Tuesday? Well, on Thursday night. I'm getting my days all mixed up. 2 nights. There's no basketball tomorrow too. 2 nights, and we get we'll get rested up. If you're going to the games, warm tea the night before. Get that, and again, be loud, but Look, even if you want to get a bleep Ben Simmons chant going, I vibe with that. But that's it. Don't get violent.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you do go to the game and there are there are things being given away, take multiple because
bring them back. Yeah.
Just to quote Jay Siggy.
Because that's why. But yeah, again, just be loud, but don't. The national spotlight. Like, dude, if a feather hits Ben Simmons, it's gonna make national news. So let's not do that. Let's not give them what they want. Let's just come out with a W on all ends of the court. That's my final thought for tonight. With that, I am Anthony Pinto.
I'm Keith Malashevsky.
And we are out of here.